by this sign or even shopping with me.
Right.
I just don't, it's just this one, and this is, it's an all-inclusive thing, and, I wanted to get one for my lawn, and I was looking online, and I went, screw it, I'll get one for all the stores.
I saw something funny. Have you seen somebody posted on Facebook, it's a business owner, she owns an ad agency here in town, and she said, I'm hanging this on all my restrooms, and it says, it's got a guy figure, for the restroom, a female, and then it's got an alien, and it says, just wash your hands.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
But flush the toilet and wash your hands.
Yeah. You would add that?
Yeah, flush the damned toilet. Oh my God. I cannot believe how many people do not flush the toilet. Obviously, are they not washing their hands? I don't understand.
You know what, though? I think in some cases, I was getting really wigged out about that too, but you know what I think sometimes? I think it's those damn self-flushing toilets.
There's a button. There's a button on the damn thing.
I know, but sometimes, Colleen, they don't start flushing until you walk out of the stall. Mm-hmm. Like there's how they're activated.
The handles have to flush.
I'm going to give a 25% credit back because I think part of it's the toilets. I don't think everybody's that disgusting.
No, they're gross.
So we disagree.
Yes.
So in other trans news, this is interesting, and I bet we're going to see more of this, although this is not generally a violent segment of society so far due to documentation that I've seen. But in Britain, they've got something called Crime Watch, which would be like our most wanted. This is a guy who's wanted and a gal, and it's the same person. The most wanted man and the most wanted woman. It is. And I've got pictures of him and her. And these are sexual assaults, which is not necessarily that common in that community. But they've had charges filed in absentia under both identities. So they have posters as both identities. Isn't that weird?
I wonder who the person was who suddenly went, wait a minute, this is the same person.
Yeah, if
it's going through there.
I don't know if you can see that far, but there's the two. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. I mean, so I don't know if you'd necessarily, and the cases don't seem to be related and they seem to take place in different towns. So I think this was a law enforcement connection that was made, but that's pretty freaky, and we may see more of that. And another one, there's a little bit of a battle between a broadcaster on BBC Radio. Her name is Dame Jenny Murray. She is arguing that men who undergo sex change surgery are not real women. And her argument is that it takes more than a sex change and makeup to lay claim to womanhood. And she's referring in most part to the types of struggles like, she's saying men enjoy privileges. And if you make the change, it doesn't mean you're automatically one of us because we've had the glass ceiling and you used to have the privilege. What do you think?
No, that's bullshit because I know plenty of folks who have transitioned and immediately when they have chosen the outside that matches their inside, they started getting called honey and sweetie and not taking it seriously. I mean, there is a definite, it's just, and it's not, and it's, you're out there, if you're voluntarily, that's not the wrong word I want. That's not the word I want, but it's gone. I mean, they may have had it, but it's gone. I don't know. And I think that it just, that sounds like more like someone who's looking for ratings than it does who someone has any validity in any sort of, facts.
Well, she's going head to head. Good news for the Sista Gals over in Australia. These ladies hail from Australia's Tiwi Islands, and it's an Indigenous transgender community that is finally making waves, they're calling it, in the LGBTQ community. Apparently, where they live, it's been particularly difficult for them to gain acceptance. Their society is a lot more against it than other societies in different parts of the world. And after a spate of suicides there, a lot of people have stepped up to try to promote awareness, and apparently they are enjoying, some breaking away from the bullying and discrimination that's been quite prominent there. So that was kind of cool.
That's one of the things where visibility and education is generally good. You're sitting around there because, there are a lot of communities in which you're not worried about it. I mean, you know, but this one obviously hadn't, you know, but then you got the opposite.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because when it gets all down to it, it's frustrating because this is a human being. And other than are they hurting someone else? No, then bugger off.
Bugger off.
I've never been able to, and I don't know how or when I got wired this way to understand how any of this makes a difference to someone else. Why this would be? Who cares? I can't wrap my brain around that. I never will. I never will be. And it's very frustrating when when there's actual things to worry about versus who somebody loves or where somebody pees. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I never will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, on a lighter note, before we go into something a little darker, there's a headline. There's a pretty famous British TV host, Kate Garrity. And the headline on this was, Kate Garrity talks about 2-week sex marathon that put her husband in a wheelchair and her torrid sex life. So I'm like, okay, I got to read this, right?
Okay. Total clickbait. Go for it.
They were doing a challenge. They've been married for quite some time, and they decided to do this challenge where you have sex every day. He did not get injured during sex. He was walking to the house and then, hurt himself a leg. I don't know, something. Yeah. He was in a cast. It was his leg. And, so then, having actual intercourse was hard. So they had to spend the rest of the challenge time trying to find ways to be intimate without having sex. And she talks about her learning experience. So how is that torrid or raunchy, as the clickbait was called? I mean, I thought it was like a really cool discovery story for a couple.
Yeah, I mean, talk about it's a learning thing. I mean, like you said, I mean really, the honest headline there would have gotten just as many clicks.
I know, because it's like,
and actually, it probably would have gotten more clicks because there was. I mean, we're going to click on it because we have to have podcast fodder, and then people talk about stores and stuff like that. Well, that's going to push away a lot of other folks. Yeah. But if you would have said, leg injury creates better intimacy through experimentation. Click, 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 click.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
I know. But I mean,
honestly, the story's probably out there in a couple different headlines.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Oh, well, I looked in a couple. Actually,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, because I thought, okay, then I Googled her, but I was just like, really, you guys? Come on. Mm-hmm. This next one's a little bit controversial here. Have you heard about Couchgate yet?
A little bit. I have to admit that I find the current office holder appalling, and everything related to that appalling. But so I've been paying more attention to actual Congress because that's where shit's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, where they're trying to, terminate the Department of Education or vouchers for public education or terminate the Environmental Protection Agency. They're repealing the Affordable Care Act or, Planned Parenthood. That's where shit's actually happening. I mean, you can go to the congressional website and see all this stuff, see who the sponsors are.
Yep.
Whether or not someone is dignified in the Oval Office at this point is a moot point.
Well,
but when it hits the sexism part of it, I'm like,
it's not about him, it's about her.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much other that this is a distraction from it, and I don't care whether or not I think this woman is one of the most appalling human beings on the planet. Okay, for a lot of different reasons. What she looks like and how she's sitting on a couch, who gives a shit?
I will say that one of the pictures that I saw, it wasn't. I mean, let me qualify this by saying I sit on the floor. I sit in strange positions and all the time because I twist up my legs and I do, whatever. I don't think though that I would have been sitting that way in a dress on a couch in a room full of suits. It was odd, but it wasn't at all sexual. But there's a couple reasons this is getting attention, and there's a comparison to Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton actually jumped in to Kellyanne Conway's defense in this story. The thing that I think got the most ruffled feathers out there was a Louisiana Congressman, Cedric Richmond, coming out. Did you hear this? And making a comment. And the gist of it, if you watch the tape, I mean, he's intimating that she gives Trump blowjobs. And there's just no way that you can get around. He's like, I know that position. I've been there a lot. Blah, blah. It was, and the people sitting, he was at a podium on either side of the table were just sitting there like, shut up. Just shut up. I mean, it was just so bad, whatever. And so that part aside, and he stepped out and, he quote unquote apologized in a very, well, I was told that some people were offended and I didn't mean to offend everybody. Okay, fine. Blowjobs are perfectly fine to talk about in the political world. Okay, they're back from 1998. But this article that I read, the one that I found, and we'll post all of this today on, of course, the Great Northern Sexcast page, they talk about, and I think this is true, misogyny being a bipartisan exercise. And they talk about the criticism of Hillary Clinton's hair, her outfits. And then there was one quote here, a Twitter user, why does Kellyanne Conway always look like she's still drunk and wearing makeup from last night's bender? Just the meanness of attacking women for their looks is just brutal.
There's more than enough things to attack her on that you do not have to go for her looks. I mean, the fact that she's, completely uneducated about anything she's talking about, it should be right up there. Whether or not you like her eyeshadow or not is meaningless. And, honestly, I mean, and I will couch this a little bit, is occasionally I like to give guys shit because it shows the hypocrisy of it. You're saying, I mean, okay, so you've got this guy over, they're giving crap to guys or just something like, and then, but nobody see, it doesn't mean, you can't, you can't have it both ways, and it's really, really frustrating when I see stuff like that. I'm like, it's such a, I mean, honestly, I think the majority of folks have figured out in the past, 6-8 weeks here that, it's sort of behind the curtain thing, put this bluster out here and all this stuff so that you can distract from what the hell Congress is actually doing. Yeah. And cause that's where it's going to be, or I'm much more concerned about actual bills and executive orders than I am, that someone may have, sat in a weird position in the Oval Office to take a picture. Woo!
Yeah. Well, and
and the thing is that, like I said, it got picked up again because she's female.
Well, that's what this article is talking about.
Yeah, and
to the extent even that Chelsea Clinton and Kellyanne Conway have mixed it up pretty well on Twitter of late. They fight, and Chelsea Clinton stepped up and said, this is ridiculous. This is horrible. She deserves an apology. I mean, she did. To Chelsea's credit, she stepped up and said that. So it's an interesting article, and it's true. I guess what I would say that it makes me sad that anybody needs to go after anybody that they don't like or disagree with on the basis of what they look like. Because just because someone was lucky enough to be beautiful does not make them a good person. And I really wish that in 2017 we could get beyond it. I don't know.
It is very frustrating. Like you said, if you're pointing out hypocrisy, that's fine. But if you're just attacking, then you've got a problem.
Absolutely. Okay. I love this story. This one was actually, the research for this gem is done on U.S. soil. So we've got, this has to do with sex work-life balance. And basically, this is out of Oregon State University, and there is a partnership with another college. I'll find it here in a minute. But basically, the conclusion, maintaining a healthy sex life at home boosts employees' job satisfaction and engagement at the office. So they're saying, get that strong work-life balance. And they make a joke, the researchers saying, people having a spring in their step, but it's real and we need to pay attention to it. It's a really great article. And it just talks about how, people are better off. They're more engaged in what they're doing. I mean, this is published in the Journal of Management. So this is not published in the medical journal. This is in a business mag.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. And, talks about dopamine, and which we talk about all the time, but, they followed 159 married employees over 2 weeks, asking them to complete surveys. And they found that the employees who engaged in sex reported more positive moods the next day. Surprise, surprise, surprise.
No, that seems true. In general, we all know sex is a good thing.
We like sex.
We like sex.
We're all about the sex.
And, if you're, like I said, if you're happy at work, you could be happier at home. If you're happy at home, happy at work. They are combined. I mean, I don't know anyone that can really, there are very few people and very few jobs nowadays where you punch out, go home, and don't think about it.
Oh, I know.
Just going through there, because even if you're working someplace where you do punch